For over 4,000 years, this spice has been a symbol of wealth, power, and luxury. Traded along ancient silk roads, fought over by empires, and even mentioned in sacred texts, cinnamon's story is as rich as its aroma. But behind every pinch of this spicy powder lies a journey few truly understand. Today, on Lord Gizmo, we venture into the heart of cinnamon country. From the saplings nurtured in tropical soils to the factories transforming bark into treasure, we'll uncover how this humble tree becomes a global sensation. Plus, why your cinnamon might not be cinnamon at all. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe to this channel. To understand cinnamon, we must begin in Sri Lanka, a teardrop-shaped island in the Indian Ocean, where the air hums with the scent of spice. Here, cinnamon isn't just a crop, it's a cultural heirloom. The Cinnamomum verum tree, or true cinnamon, thrives in Sri Lanka's southwestern lowlands, where monsoon rains drench fertile soils and tropical sun coaxes bark into complexity. But cultivating cinnamon is no quick feat. Farmers plant saplings during the rainy season, spacing them like chess pieces across terraced slopes. For 2 years, these trees are pruned mercilessly, branches lopped off to force the trunk into growing multiple stems. It's a practice honed over generations. By limiting vertical growth, farmers maximize the bark's surface area, the very essence of the spice. By year 3, the trees stand 8 feet tall, their leaves blushing reddish-green, a silent signal they're ready for harvest. Timing is critical. Cut too soon, and the bark lacks the aromatic oils that define premium cinnamon. Wait too long, and those oils turn bitter, fit only for low-grade powders. Yet even now, the work is just beginning. The real magic lies in the hands of those who transform rough bark into a spice worth its weight in gold. Harvesting cinnamon is a ballet of blades and intuition, but it is harvested after monsoon rains. The rain softens the bark. In Sri Lanka, there are 2 distinct monsoon seasons, so the true cinnamon can be harvested twice a year. The workers approach the trees at dawn. With machetes honed to razor edges, they strike at a precise 45-degree angle, slicing stems thicker than a thumb. The cut must be clean, leaving just enough stump for the tree to regenerate. The branches and leaves are stripped away, leaving only the main stem. They tie up together all the harvested stems to make a bundle. Then several bundles are loaded and transported to a facility for further processing. Each stem is dipped into water first. This softens the outer bark, which is called epidermis. It is a coarse, brown layer with no commercial value. Using a curved brass rod, harvesters scrape away the outer bark. Beneath it lies the cambium layer, a thin golden ribbon that smells of citrus and clove. This is cinnamon, but its thickness ranges from 0.2 millimeters to 0.5 millimeters. There comes the delicate act of peeling. It is done by skilled workers with decades of experience. Small cuts are made around and along the length of the stem using a pointed knife, preferably stainless steel or brass, to facilitate peeling. The inner bark is carefully peeled away in long strips, which can be delicate and prone to breaking if not handled carefully. Once peeled, these strips naturally curl up as they dry, forming quills that can be further processed. Rolling the dried bark into quills is an art form. Skilled workers layer the strips like cigar wrappers, tucking each end inward to form a tight spiral. Too loose, and the quill unravels. Too tight, and it cracks. Each quill is approximately 42 inches long. The finest quills are no thicker than a pencil, and particularly these are classified as alba grade. They are considered the finest for several reasons, such as a more delicate and refined flavor profile, better aromatic properties due to less compacted bark layers, and a crumbly texture. This is the traditional way of drying quills. The ropes made out of coconut coir are coming from one wall of the workshop to another, forming a rack where quill can be placed. The ready quill left on them for 4 to 7 days. Once dried, cinnamon sticks are tied into compact bundles for transport. Each bundle is weighed to standardize quantities before shipping. This bundle will go to the UK, so it needs a robust packing. From Sri Lanka to the UK, it takes 3 weeks for the shipped cinnamon to arrive. Upon arrival, their quality is tested in the lab where they measure its moisture level and any microbial and metal contamination. The length of solid cinnamon sticks is further reduced and they are packed by hands. On the other hand, crumbled sticks will go into the mill to make cinnamon powder from it. This machine will put the cinnamon powder into jars. Alba cinnamon powder generally has a shelf life of 2 to 4 years. These jars will provide it an airtight environment. Proper storage involves keeping it in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight and heat sources. The quality of the cinnamon will gradually decrease over time due to loss of aroma and flavor, but it remains safe for consumption beyond its peak quality period. The peak quality period of cinnamon is its first 6 months to 1 year after processing. While cinnamon sticks and powder are the most common products derived from cinnamon, there are other products that can be made from this versatile spice. For example, cinnamon bark oil is pretty famous for its distinctive sweet, woody, and musky scent. To prepare, the cinnamon bark is reduced into chips. These chips are dried under sunlight. Then a number of workers remove any contaminants from it. This is pretty laborious work. The collected dried chips are then stored in distillation columns. The workers are securing a conical lid onto the distillation chamber. This chamber contains the dried cinnamon chips, which will soon be exposed to steam. It operates like a vessel into which steam will be introduced. Once the column is filled, steam is introduced from a boiler below. 0 to 120 degrees Celsius is the ideal range for extracting pure, high-quality cinnamon essential oil. The heat and moisture help release essential oils from the cinnamon bark by breaking down its cellular structure. The steam carries the volatile oil compounds upward into a condenser, where the mixture cools down, causing the oil and water to separate. The essential oil is lighter than water and floats on top, while the condensed water, known as hydrosol, is collected separately. Even after distillation, cinnamon bark retains some of its antimicrobial and antifungal properties, which can help protect plants from pests and fungal infections. Over time, these chips break down and enrich the soil with organic matter, improving its fertility and structure. This zero-waste practice ensures that every part of the cinnamon tree is utilized, promoting sustainable agriculture and reducing environmental waste. To guarantee transparency and uphold high-quality standards, KPS utilizes third-party testing services. This oil is cinnamon's hidden fortune. 10 times more valuable than the spice itself, it's coveted by perfume houses in Paris, pharmaceutical giants in Switzerland, and organic farms battling pests without chemicals. Cinnamon oil is another product that can be made from cinnamon, but instead of using bark, they extract the oil from leaves. It is called cinnamon leaf oil and can be used for pain relief and skin care. The extraction of cinnamon oil is simple but fascinating to watch. Let's explore how they do it. The leaves and twigs left after harvesting are collected after a short period of time. Mature, healthy leaves with dark green coloration are selected for oil extraction. These leaves contain higher concentrations of essential oils compared to younger or damaged ones. The gathered leaves are tied together so they can easily load them onto trucks. This truck is heading toward the oil extraction plant of KP Somadasa and Company. It's time to process them. The prepared leaves are placed into a distillation flask, which is part of a steam distillation apparatus. This apparatus typically includes a steam generator, a condenser, and a collection vessel. The operators make sure these flasks are tightly closed. They even use some natural element to prevent the steam from leaking. For cinnamon leaves, this is often done at temperatures around 100 degrees Celsius. The steam carries the volatile oil components as vapor into the condenser. As the steam and oil vapors pass into the condenser, they are cooled and return to liquid form. The resulting liquid mixture contains both water and essential oil and is collected in a separatory funnel or similar device. The extracted leaves, like the cinnamon bark chips, are not discarded. They can be used as fuel to fire the steam distillation. Long before modern science unlocked its secrets, cinnamon oil was the currency of kings. Egyptian pharaohs used it in embalming rites. Medieval Europeans believed it could ward off plague. Chinese dynasties prescribed it for vitality. But what gives this golden liquid its power? The answer lies in a molecule, cinnamaldehyde, a compound as fierce as fire, yet as nurturing as nature. From Sri Lanka's ports, shipping containers embark on a journey echoing ancient spice routes. Cinnamon sails to Europe, where it flavors Christmas cookies and mulled wine, to Mexico, where it sweetens café de olla, and to the Middle East, where it perfumes lamb tagines. The history of Ceylon cinnamon is also quite interesting. It was once more valuable than gold in Egypt. Actually, Ceylon cinnamon was integral to Egyptian mummification practices. Its natural preservative properties and fragrant aroma made it essential for embalming, where it was used to fill body cavities and mask decomposition odors. Egyptians believed its scent was divine, linking it to spiritual purity and offerings to gods like Ra and Osiris. However, some archaeologists do not fully agree with that, though some ancient Greek historians like Herodotus mentioned the use of aromatic spices, including possibly cinnamon, in Egyptian embalming processes. Between 1500 and 1800, there had been bloody wars between three powerful empires. Portuguese, Dutch, and British all fought wars in Sri Lanka over cinnamon due to its immense economic value. The Portuguese first targeted Ceylon in 1518, establishing forts like Colombo and extracting tribute in cinnamon from local kingdoms. They monopolized Ceylon's cinnamon trade by forcing agreements with the king of Kota, demanding annual payments of cinnamon, rubies, and elephants. The Dutch East India Company systematically ousted the Portuguese from Ceylon in the 17th century. They captured key ports like Negombo, rebuilt forts, and enforced brutal policies to control cinnamon production. The Dutch praised Negombo's cinnamon as the very best in the universe and used canals to transport it to Colombo for export. By the late 18th century, the British seized Ceylon from the Dutch during the Napoleonic Wars. However, declining cinnamon profitability due to overproduction and competition from China led them to shift focus to coffee and tea plantations in the island's hill country. Ceylon cinnamon is not the only variety of this nutrient-rich spice. In fact, it is just native to Sri Lanka and accounts for only a small proportion of global cinnamon production. On the other hand, Cassia cinnamon is widely produced across the world. Indonesia, China, and Vietnam are the largest producers of Cassia cinnamon. As compared to Ceylon cinnamon, Cassia bark is thicker and darker. Cassia trees thrive in cool, mountainous climates with rich, well-drained soil. It grows faster, allowing more frequent harvesting. Its thicker bark is harvested in a single layer, making the process less meticulous. And in terms of money, Cassia is 10 times less expensive as compared to Ceylon. However, there is a catch. Cassia contains a high amount of an organic chemical named coumarin. Consuming a large amount of it on a daily basis could cause severe health issues such as liver damage, allergic reactions, and blood sugar control issues. Yet Cassia is often labeled simply as cinnamon, flooding supermarkets at half the price of true Ceylon cinnamon. And many people don't know the difference. In the US, 90% of cinnamon is actually Cassia. For unsuspecting consumers, it's a health gamble hidden in plain sight. A few months ago, Consumer Reports tested 36 ground cinnamon products. 1 out of 3 contained lead above 1 part per million.
Serious health consequences, especially for children and during pregnancy.
Quarter teaspoon of any of these products gives you more lead than you should have in an entire day. If you have any one of those products, we think you should just throw it away.
This happens because cassia absorb lead naturally from contaminated environments during their growth. Irrigation with lead-contaminated water from industrial runoff or lead-containing pipes introduces the metal directly into plants. Ceylon is less prone to adulteration and thus has lower coumarin content, though not immune to environmental lead. It is a wake-up call for authorities to regulate the import of cinnamon. With that, we end this video. Hopefully, you have learned something new today. Feel free to give a like and share your thoughts in the comments section. We see you next time.